Welcome to Back 40 Bushcraft. Some of you know I'm an Elan guy these days. I seem to have these different things I like. Old Tercel 4-wheel drives, DR 650s, Skidoo Elans. I've had this one for, I don't know, maybe 5 years. And at the very last run of the year, last spring, it died about, a kilometer from my pickup point. And shout out to Mike Mitchell and his buddy for just messaging me saying they'd go out in the middle of the night and tow it down to the parking lot. And there it was when I went in the morning, just sitting there waiting for me to load it on the trailer. Needless to say, it's mid-January, and I've just been getting through all sorts of issues trying to find out where my spark went. And I wanted to share with you some tips and what it actually was. So I immediately thought it was coil. In truth, it could have been. I want to show you. This is what I thought I was being smart by sticking my wiring under the exhaust, because this is a 335 motor. I used to have a 250 twin, and the wiring wasn't compatible, so I'm just still kind of working on that. I was more just trying to get it running. But at the end of last year, I thought it was just going to be my coil. In truth, it could have been one of the coils, but I had another one. It was made in China. I don't even remember where I got it, but it was brand new. But I've seen coils right out of the box that are bad, so that's always questionable, which is why you buy the good ones whenever you can. So I swapped out the coil. Still no spark. Of course, the first thing you always do is you pull your plug. You get a buddy to hold it against a grounding point on your motor. You pull the cord, look for spark. If that doesn't work, go grab that other spark plug that's sitting on the wood stove and do the same thing. If there's still no spark, before you even just go pulling coils or anything like that, what I've found is very helpful is just to remove the pull cord assembly and the starter cup. So there's 4 10mm bolts to pull that off, and then I think it's 3 10mm bolts to pull that off. And what I do with your plug out is, I believe it's maybe a 25mm socket that you can put on there, and you put it on a drill, but not an impact driver, because that'll just tighten or loosen the nut. So you actually just use a drill, hold on tight, and if you look in the window, you'll be able to see whether your points are sparking or not. I'm not sure you're supposed to do that. I don't know what sort of harm can come of it. But if I don't see spark there, then I'm not going to pull the coil, right? So that's when you go about adjusting your points. Figure it out yourself. I just honestly look for the highest point, and then I'll loosen the screw off and either increase it or decrease it depending on what the gap is supposed to be, what is it, 0.2, 0.02. Look it up. But then I'll do it again, and if I see that there's spark there, then I know it's my coil. So then I'll swap the coil and everything should be tickety-boo. Of course, make sure your spark plug wire is a good one and it isn't old. If it's old, then all those kind of things can lead to spark issues. I did not have spark down in there, and even after adjusting coils and all that, I still couldn't, it still wasn't sparking. And so I have a couple of parts motors, and I did the drill trick on that, and it started sparking. So I pulled out the entire magneto assembly out of the parts one. The entire magneto assembly out of this one, which sucks because there's like a 50-year-old kind of plug grommet kind of thing that you got to try and push out, and there's probably new ones, but I don't have one. And get your wiring all through there, and so that's not easy doing that. And I put it all back together. Still no spark. And I'll be honest with you, if these things were insured, I probably would have set fire to them. But I'm not. So I went to bed thinking, well, I have another 335 motor. Maybe by this point I already had pulled this whole motor. It was up on my shop counter. No sense if you have to do something such as switching out your magnetos. I mean, it's 4 bolts, your clutch belt, your throttle cable, whatever, the exhaust. It's good to move all that stuff around anyways. Needless to say, I woke up in the morning and I said, what is different about all of this? And it was actually the flywheel magnetic ring. I was like, oh, that's the only thing different. I'm using the same one that I had for the 335, so I take the one from the parts motor, put it on, boom, I've got spark. So, there's this Elan, fanboy page on Facebook, and I was like, has anybody ever heard of a magnet going? Again, I've only been into these for 5 years, so maybe that's something that's more common knowledge, but yeah, apparently you can adjust all of that. So the final tip for you all is beware the magnetic ring. I hope that helps. The 335. It's a beast. New exhaust, new fuel lines, new coil.